Welcome to Tech Talks. My name is Michael Bertoni, and I'm the founder and CEO of PhillyTech and your most connected technologist. I am so excited today. We are kicking off Tech Talks again. We have one of my best clients here, Shaun Jensen. He's the founder and CEO of JB Consulting. It's great to see you, Shaun.
So excited to be here, Mike.
I'm so excited, Shaun. Shaun's just like loving doing this, you know. I mean, he is we just did a commercial and we're going through takes. It was so awesome. So it's so awesome to have you here, Shaun. And, you know, I want to definitely learn a little bit more about your background because I don't necessarily know that much about your background, like what you did, like what did you do before JB Consulting? Like, you know, where'd you grow up? You know, what'd you do before? Where'd you go to school? Things like that.
Yeah, so I grew up in North New Jersey. I got a great wife and 3 young boys right now. Growing up, I played chess, tennis, taught myself computers really, really young. I always knew I wanted to do something with computers. And basically it. I found myself programming at the age of 6 or 7. Taught myself really, really young how to do it. And started the company right out of college, first year out of college. It's something I always knew I wanted to do, Mike.
And I got to tell everybody something about Shaun that is unbelievable. So imagine if you only needed 3 hours of sleep each night. Just imagine that for a second. Like if you only needed 3 hours of sleep. So Shaun could basically work for like 22 hours a day, right? So, I mean, it's amazing. So, because I wish I was like that.
If I didn't have 3 little boys.
Yeah, Shaun's like, I'm doing campaigns at like 1 a.m, right? So it's unbelievable. So where'd you go to school?
Rutgers.
So what'd you major in college?
Computer science and philosophy, double major.
And wow, nice. So did you do really well? How was school for you? What was the experience like?
It was basically sitting in front of a computer all day. Not the most social guy. Most of the time I was out programming. Just all day and night, just programming, learning. We were doing even healthcare programming freshman year in college. So just learning the industry even way back then.
Yeah, so it's unbelievable. So not many people would know this about me, but I'm kind of nerdy in the background, like I'm nerdy, right? So that's why I think we get along, so we're kind of nerds at heart, I think, right? We're like tech nerds. You remember the tech nerds are the ones that actually like get somewhere in their life, right? So Shaun, I think you would probably say you're a tech nerd, right?
Oh, absolutely. Proud tech nerd.
Yeah, so it's awesome. So tell the audience a little bit about your company. So how did you start your company? Like, how did that even happen? Like, what were you doing before that? And then how did you transition into JB Consulting?
Yeah, so my dad had his own company too. I think it's always kind of been in my blood. Something I think I always knew I wanted to do it. But like I said, in college, we just stumbled into what this space called specialty pharmacy. It was the late 90s, super young, emerging field. I had some mentors who really brought me in, taught me what was going on. Yeah. And, I was just hooked on it. So it took my love of technology and my love of actually having the tech do something useful and something cool. So teaching myself video games in high school was a lot of fun, but seeing how it could actually connect people who were on, facing life-threatening illnesses and helping patients who are, scared of the treatments they're facing, that was really just inspiring to see that myself firsthand. And like I said, I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, so specialty pharmacy, right? So not many people probably know what specialty pharmacy is. So again, Shaun's company, JB Consulting, they are experts in building technology solutions for specialty pharmacy and PBMs. So let's first talk about what the heck is a specialty pharmacy.
Yeah,
so let us know. What is a specialty pharmacy, Shaun?
Yeah, so great question. When you think of a pharmacy, you probably think of going into, pharmacy down the street. They have magazines, they have gum, they have prescriptions. That's what we would call a retail or a community pharmacy. Mm-hmm. It's something that's accessible to the public. You can generally go in, you bring your prescriptions that the doctor gives you. A specialty pharmacy, on the other hand, is where you go when you have serious conditions like cancer, HIV, God forbid, MS. There's a whole list of really costly, complex conditions. And these kind of patients, they need care that goes above and beyond what they would get, just walking into a pharmacy who doesn't know who they are, doesn't know the condition they have. So what a specialty pharmacy is, it's high cost, high risk prescriptions. It's really high touch, high monitoring. You can talk to a pharmacist 24 hours a day who's trained on your case, who knows the conditions you have. And, it delivers a higher level of quality care, that you wouldn't necessarily get. You wouldn't need to know about this if you didn't, if you weren't someone who had one of these diseases or if you didn't have a family member who did. Most people are lucky. They can just go get a prescription for, a Z-Pack when they get an antibiotic. They just go get their prescription, they take it, and they're done.
Yeah.
But for these people in the population who have these really serious conditions, specialty pharmacy, this is like a lifeline for them. It just makes all the difference in the world.
So give us an example. So say I have a grandmother who has MS, right? And she's going to her doctor, and the doctor's treating her for MS. So walk me through and walk the audience through the process of how does she get a specialty drug for MS?
Yeah, so a lot of patients, especially when we started 20 years ago, people didn't know the term specialty pharmacy. Nonetheless, patients today, it's amazing. Patients themselves even know that they are specialty pharmacy patients. It's really become, something that the public's starting to know about it. And, for your grandmother, if that was the case, the doctor, by diagnosing, it starts with a diagnosis. And sometimes that patient journey can be years just to even find out what the diagnosis is. I mean, you have symptoms, there's something wrong. Sometimes several years later, you actually come to the diagnosis. But that's generally the entryway, is once you've been diagnosed by a professional that you have MS or whatever the condition is, depending on the drug and depending on the treatment options, you're going to get referred into some kind of a pharmacy that's going to take care of you. It's going to help you. If it's a drug like something for MS, you're going to get seen by a specialty pharmacy.
And so who has the drug? So how do I actually get the drug? Where do I go? Do I go somewhere to get the drug? Is it delivered to me? Do I go to the hospital? How does that work?
Yeah, so great question. Again, these are all, there's so many different conditions that could be covered. A lot of these are typically going to be infusions. They're going to be injectables. So you're going to go, to a doctor's office, to an infusion site. There's even home injectable. There's self-injectables. So traditionally, people always associate specialty pharmacy with injectables and infusions, but it covers oral. I mean, there's oral oncolytics for people with cancer. They can take oral drugs now, a lot of oral therapies. That would all be under that umbrella. But if you need to go be seen in person to be given it, you would go to a facility. You could go to a specialty pharmacy. A lot of them have infusion sites on site there. There could be a mail order component. If there's drugs you could be getting at home, you might get them sent. You might have to go to a hospital to get it. It's really going to depend. And then they have exclusive channels. So depending on the actual drug you're getting, only certain providers and certain pharmacies may be qualified to give that to you. So that's going to kind of direct where you need to go to, obviously.
So tell the audience a little bit about the specialty pharmacy industry. So from working with you, I know that there are some big players, right? So there are some big players in the space, and then there are a lot of mom and pops. So tell the audience, what does that look like? So, I know there's organizations out there like Kroger, that have a specialty pharmacy, Walgreens, things like that. So tell the audience a little bit about the bigger names that they would know. They walk in, and then what are the smaller, and how does that work?
Yeah, so absolutely. Think of grocery stores. Almost every major grocery store, they're going to have a pharmacy in it. Your CVS, Walmart, all those kind of big box stores, they're going to have pharmacies in them as well. There's going to be, those retail community pharmacies. They're out there, they're accessible. But those large companies, they all have a specialty pharmacy component that deals specifically with these patients. A lot of times they're going to be through mail order, through like an office building somewhere where it's, communication. There's companies like Thrifty White. They're really known for having community outreach. So their specialty pharmacies are really integrated out in the community. You can go walk into a Thrifty White pharmacy and talk to a specialty pharmacist who really knows your condition. Hospitals, obviously there's a lot of medications being dispensed within the hospital. A lot of them are going to be specialty medications now. So that's actually the fastest rising segment of specialty pharmacy is occurring within the hospital space. They call this hospital-owned specialty pharmacies, and there's alliances and trade associations out there advocating for them as well. There's really not one size fits all. There's just so many different types of pharmacies out there, and we're out there to try to help all of them, in all their unique ways.
Yeah, and that brings me into my next question. So technology challenges, right? So again, Shaun's company solves technology challenges with software, with technology. His company comes in and helps these specialty pharmacies or PBMs deal with these issues. So what are some of these issues? What are some of these challenges? Explain to the audience, what is this all about?
Yes, some of these challenges are going to apply to pretty much any company, nothing to do with healthcare. You got operational challenges. You have, putting humans on paper processes and filling out paper forms. You got people making phone calls to patients, to hospitals. So a lot of it's just operational. It's automation. It's having computers working smarter and freeing up these clinical people so that they can spend their time working with patients and improving care instead of, sending faxes and making phone calls, stuff like that.
But are there specific technology challenges? Like I know we've worked a little bit with prior auth, we've worked in other areas. So tell the audience specifically about what are the actual technology challenges?
So the technology challenges, you have, like everyone knows in healthcare, there's just, the data is everywhere. There's so many different people involved. There's doctors, pharmacies, hospitals. All the different stakeholders. You're going to a specialist, you're going to a doctor. You might be on vacation picking up your prescriptions one day down in Florida, and then you're coming home picking up your refill back home. All that data is out across different networks, different systems. So one of the huge challenges, right now especially, is just the interoperability of that data, connecting all these different systems, these exchanges. You can imagine if you're the patient waiting to get the drug at home and the person you're talking to doesn't have the information in their computer to make the decision, that's going to cause a lot of problems for everybody. So a lot of it is really just getting the data where you need it, getting the analytics out of it. Tons of stuff involving data. There's going to be just connecting lots of different people too, like the different health plans, the pharmacies. So a lot of API, communication, that kind of thing. There's all these different systems for really niche purposes that all need to communicate with each other. Super complex landscape, and we're in there really helping with all those integrations as well. It's one of our bread and butters.
So what are the top three? What are the top three projects that you're typically doing for these specialty pharmacy or PBMs? What type of work are you doing?
So a lot of it is going to be data and reporting in particular. The data that these pharmacies have to send to the health plans, to the drug companies. Each drug might require a different set of data, so it gets really complicated. I would say the data is one huge thing. Patient engagement, which is how the pharmacy actually reaches out to the patient. Let them know a refill is due, try and find out how they're doing, answer questions. That's all under this umbrella of digital engagement, patient access. These are all huge topics as well. Prior authorization, like you said before, that's a big thing that takes tons of time for everybody. We've been in there since 2003. I actually founded a company years and years ago with some friends that was automating prior authorization back in 2003. And here we are in 2022, and it's still a hot button issue. It's something that we're continuing every week now. We're still talking to customers about how their prior authorization process can be improved almost 20 years later.
So I got to tell everybody, I got to thank Paul Polanski, right? Because Paul Polanski introduced us back. So really funny story here. So I met Shaun in 2006 when he was working on this company. Am I allowed to say the name of the company?
Yep, Synovia.
So Synovia, this company's Synovia. So I was working at a company called App Labs. I was in business development. I was in sales. Synovia was one of my first customers. Shaun was in there, and that's when I met him in 2006. And basically, I stayed in contact with him and Paul Polanski. And then I think Paul Polanski was the one who said, you should talk. Did he say that? I'm trying to remember who reconnected us.
Yeah, so,
how did that even work?
Yeah, so Paul Polanski is a great friend of mine. He is, I believe, the one that introduced us. And I was talking to him. It was actually during the pandemic. And I was saying, hey, Paul, at the end of the day, we get so much word of mouth business. It's great, but we got to get in front of some people ourselves too, especially coming out of the pandemic. And what he said to me was funny. He said, if you want people to know who you are, call your friend Mike. You remember Mike from App Labs? He said he's been doing his thing ever since those days. Go talk to him. He can definitely help get you out there. He can help you in a lot of ways. And, absolutely, you've been helping me a lot. Yeah,
it's awesome. So that is the core of Shaun. So your experience, the core of your experience was working with Synovia for how many years? How long did you do that?
So it was 9 years, then we sold the company, and then my team stayed on and helped with that transition for probably 4 or 5 years after that too.
Yeah, so Shaun's company basically built Synovia's software. It was prior authorization, right? Then we came in as App Labs and we helped extend and help grow it, but Shaun was always in the background building this. And so I was always curious. So was that your core customer, or did you have at that time, a lot of other customers as well?
Well, no. So that was our baby. I was one of the founders.
Right.
A lot of the engineers and the architects who helped us build that are actually on my team today. So these are some guys like Jeremy, who you've met. He's been working with me, almost 20 years now. One of our first employees, but he was working with Synovia. A couple of our other guys, John and Victor. We have a lot of guys that were helping out with Synovia who are still working with our company now. This is literally going 15 years or more.
So I got to tell everybody too. I don't want you to cry, Shaun, and I'm not going to cry either. But so Shaun is one of those clients. So everybody has those clients out there that they could count like on one hand of how awesome they are. So Shaun really appreciates what we do. Like it's unbelievable. Really appreciates what we do. Really appreciates our time, and I am so thankful. Right. So I can count my best clients right now, like on one hand, and like besides Chain, it's you guys. And it's unbelievable. So tell the audience a little bit about like, what are we doing? Like, so in terms of the, what are we doing together, right? So in terms of the work we're doing, how's that going? Explain that if you could. It'd be
Yeah, no, of course. And I mean, one of the things that's important to me is that even within our team, like everyone should be doing what they do best. I feel like, not everyone can do everything. So what is it like, master of none, jack of everything. So it's like, even within our team, we have guys who they can all do everything, but they have stuff that's in their sweet spot and stuff that maybe they get it done, but it's not as much of their wheelhouse. I really I'm a big advocate of having people do what's in their wheelhouse. Yeah. For us, we build technology. We know healthcare. We know the challenges. We know how to solve them. Do we necessarily know how to market ourselves? Do we know how to explain what we do? Not necessarily. It hasn't really been a focus of ours. So, coming from your background, what you've always done really well, I really appreciate it. And some of the stuff that you tell me, after you say it sounds so obvious, but it obviously isn't obvious to most people. And people say it to me too. I tell them stuff about technology and it's like, I should have known, but nothing's so obvious, obviously,
I mean, I got to tell you, Shaun, I tell you this all the time. I tell Shaun something, right? So one time, I think it was on like a Friday at like 6 o'clock, I said, Shaun, we got to build your sales playbook. So your sales playbook is your presentation that you're going to do to your audience. I said, Shaun, we got to build your sales playbook. I send him the template. Here's a template, Shaun. Like 4 hours later, Shaun sends me, here it is, Mike. I'm like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And it's like that with everything, right? I mean, most of the stuff that we teach is obvious, and there's so many thousands of companies that it's obvious. You could do it. You're a smart guy, and it's awesome. So the other thing I want to tell the audience about is Shaun's team. So this is something you don't see all the time. Shaun has people working with him that have been working with him for years, right? Yeah. Over 10 years. So tell us a little bit about your team, your culture at your company, what's your special sauce, like that type of thing, and your guys, the guys and gals that work for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you said, our team, they are our secret sauce is the team. People have been with us for 10, 15 years. Our very first employee still working with us. It's just been incredible. But like for us, it's like we really care. We are a small company. We've always been a small company. We have no outside funding. It's just been, it's myself. And, we're almost like a big family. So it's great. We're small enough that we can all, stick together. We teach people a lot. We're like really, really big into learning, into mentoring, and just we care. It's like we have a lot of empathy for our employees, and even our customers too. We really have long-term customers that we've had for 10 years or more too. So for us, it's not about getting the project, filling up the team to do it, moving on to the next one. It's like finding the right partner, finding the right team, finding the right fit, building something that's sustainable, and then growing from there. And it's really been successful for us.
Yeah, it's been an unbelievable journey. In terms of what we've been doing. And I know that, again, Shaun's company works with specialty pharmacies and PBMs. We didn't talk that much about PBMs, so I want to spend a little bit of time on that. What's a PBM? So what is a PBM? Like, what does it stand for? That type of thing. So
PBM, great question. It stands for a pharmacy benefit manager. Most people probably don't know that. It's one of these things where it's like everybody has probably interacted and works with a PBM. They probably don't even know they do. They probably don't know the name of it. Yeah. So when you get your prescriptions at the pharmacy, those are being managed by a prescription benefit manager. So when you have think medical, like going to the hospital, going to the doctor, you break your arm, you go get x-rays, that's medical benefit. That's Aetna, that's Blue Cross, people know, United Healthcare. So these are the insurance companies, your health plan, your medical insurance. What people don't necessarily realize is when you're actually getting prescription drugs and going to the pharmacy, it's a separate entity that's actually managing that. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who are contracting between you, your health plan, or maybe your employer, the company you work for, and the drug companies. They're the ones setting up those contracts, for the drug rates and all that. It could be a little controversial. There's a lot of different, models out there. They're not always the most popular people out there because there's a lot of different viewpoints on it.
Yeah.
But they fill an essential role. They save a lot of money for a lot of people. They're an instrumental part of this whole system that we've been talking about.
And very exciting times for JB Consulting, especially in 2022. So, Shaun, tell the audience about the opportunities that we have going on right now. So we got a couple things that we're looking for. I don't know how much you want to share, but we're looking for great people.
Yeah,
Shaun. So we're looking for great people. So Shaun, I wanted to give you the opportunity to tell everybody the types of jobs and what are the roles, and we'll make sure we get it networked out there.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. So in a way, we're always hiring. So we're always trying to find the right team. So if we find the right fit and the right person who has, they want the opportunity, we're going to try and find a way to get them on the team and got to work with them. But other than that, if we can get right now specifically, we are hiring a client success manager. We are hiring some engineers and some senior developers. We have some projects kicking off over the next couple of months that we're trying to fill in for. But, coming out of the pandemic, it was obviously slow the last 2 years for a lot of people in healthcare. So things are kind of warming back up. The phone's ringing a lot more, and, we got a lot of new projects kicking off. So if you know anyone out there that's looking for a job with a great company, we are hiring.
Yeah, so specifically, C#.net. So if you know anybody that's C#.net that has healthcare, life sciences, pharmaceutical, that type of experience, let us know. Reach out to myself or Shaun. And the other thing is some type of success manager, account manager, someone that, project management for clients, things like that. Same thing. If you know people that are in specialty pharmacy, life sciences, pharmaceuticals, these areas, if you know anybody, please let us know. So Shaun, where's your office?
Our office is, we're right outside of Princeton. We're by the Quaker Bridge Mall, for those who know, and right in Hamilton, New Jersey.
So you drove all the way down here. Oh, and what was it, like an hour?
Actually, my family, we're in Ambler, Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's right.
So
that's right.
yeah, for me, I drove from the home.
Yeah, that's right. Shaun, again, the backstory of this is Shaun drives like an hour from Ambler to like his work because he just needs that drive time and he needs to get out of the house.
No, that's not what it is. We actually, our employees always laugh too, because what we did the opposite. We moved the company close to our key employees and away from the boss, as opposed to moving the company close to the boss. Everyone had to drive, and a lot of people joke that I have the longest commute in the office because we're just a few minutes from most of our key employees.
Yeah.
But, hey.
And I want to tell the audience about an announcement, right? So Shaun created a meetup, right? And we're going to be launching it probably in February or March.
Yeah, really excited
So tell the audience about the meetup.
Yeah, healthcare technology professionals. It's covering New York City, Philadelphia, and Central Jersey. Probably a slant on the technology side, but we'd welcome anybody that wants to come.
Yeah, I mean, meetups are great. So we're going to be most likely doing them in Hamilton, right, at your office?
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out. We're moving around. I'm sure we'll be kind of shifting them so that people don't all have to drive. We'll probably do some in North Jersey, some in Philly. But, we'll see. We're hopefully kicking that off in February, March, like you said. And with the pandemic, we'll have to kind of see, but we'll obviously be doing some virtual component in the short term, too.
Yeah, so Shaun, it has been awesome. Great show. We were having some fun here. So can't wait to have you back as well. We got to definitely have you back, and it's going to be an awesome journey this year. I know it's going to be a super successful year. So it's awesome to have you on Tech Talks, and looking forward to continuing to work with you.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Thanks, Shaun.
Appreciate it.